Hey, BJ, congratulations on the appointment to the staff with Greg again.
Thank you.
Wanted to ask you along those lines, what's maybe different this time around in terms of a sporting director who's going to be very active in behind the scenes and preparations. How would you contrast it to the last term going into a World Cup cycle?
I think right now there's just a there's a new level of energy with everybody on the staff, with in the whole organization. We know the opportunity that we have coming up here over the next couple years. So for us, it's just about continuing to get better, continuing to grow, continuing to get more players opportunities, and continue to challenge ourselves against different opponents. And that's really where the excitement comes from. And I think that's where we have a real clear idea on where we want to go, and that drives all of us each and every day.
Next will be Henry Bushnell from Yahoo.
Thanks, Michael. And sorry if I missed anything in the beginning. But BJ, I'm just wondering if you could, what were the negotiations with whether it's Greg or the Federation around, returning for a second cycle as an assistant for this team? And did you ever look elsewhere, or and if not, what made you so interested in being a part of a second cycle with this team?
Yeah, for me, I think the opportunity to represent your country anytime that they come calling, it's a huge honor. It's an honor that I don't take lightly, and that I'm grateful for anytime. So for me, when the offer and opportunity came, the decision was quite quick. I think the opportunity that we all have here, and the impact that we can make over the next 3 years leading to this 2026 World Cup is a great challenge, and I think we're all people that really like to run towards challenges, and that was a real driving factor when this opportunity presented itself again.
We'll go to Ron Blum from the Associated Press. Ron, we are not hearing you in the moment.
How's that? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. As the staff sat down and assessed the previous 4-year cycle, what are the areas that you guys thought as a staff you needed to improve on?
Yeah, of course. I think any time that you leave one cycle and start another cycle, you're going to always sort of reflect and refine your processes. That's something that we had the opportunity to do. It's something that we continually do even while you're you're inside the cycle. It's part of how we approach sort of continually trying to grow. I think for us, it's trying to continue to play a variety of opponents. You see that what we're going to do this week with an opportunity to play two opponents from Asia that are going to present different challenges to us. And the more opportunity we can challenge this group, and the more opportunity we can bring the players along and improve our sort of style of play, I think that'll all lead us to the ability to be our best selves when the time comes.
How does this cycle, having not consistent competitive games, just the Nations League and Copa America with the main group, change the preparation throughout the 4 years compared to last go round where qualifying was the focus?
I think we're at a point now where I think we want to try and play the best opponents that we can. If we want to continue to grow this, and maximize our preparation, I think trying to play as many of the top teams that we can is whether it's a friendly or not. Listen, they're not friendlies when you're playing against big teams, and it doesn't always have to be the big countries. Like, we have 2 really good games here against 2 opponents that are World Cup potential opponents. As the World Cup is expanded, and we expect to be challenged in different ways, and we'll be able to learn from those challenges and hopefully perform well against those challenges.
Just one point of information on that as we continue with Oman and Uzbekistan. Given that Given the international calendar and official competition calendar, the next and only opportunity we would have to play teams from the Asian Football Confederation is July of 2025. So when BJ talks about diversity of opponents, that's just a point of information as background. We'll continue with Tom Timmerman from the St. Louis Post-Dispatch.
Hi, BJ, and welcome back to St. Louis. You talked about finding where people fit in. Where does Tim Ream fit in this picture?
I mean, Tim for us is still a player who's playing at a high level in the Premier League, and if we continue to use filters of guys playing in top 5 leagues and making real impacts with their club, Tim Ream is a player that I think can make a massive impact for quite a long time, and we look forward to that.
Thanks, sir.
Next will be Jeff Carlisle from ESPN FC.
Thanks, Michael. Hi, BJ. Kind of piggybacking on Ron's question a little bit, how do you and Greg and the rest of the staff move this attack forward? Because it certainly seemed like at the World Cup, and granted it's not the biggest sample size, but the team did really kind of struggle to create quality chances in those games. So I'm wondering, what ideas do you guys have to try to make this attack, more clinical, more creative, and create more chances?
I think it continues to go back to challenging ourselves against different variety of opponents. So I think each challenge that the opponent brings with you is going to dictate sort of how you can create chances. So the more experience that we can give these core group of players playing against a diverse schedule of opponents, I think will teach us and give us ideas on how to advance that attack against different type of setups. So I think it's about exploring different challenges that the opponents give us, and at the same time continuing to get our core group of players as much time together as possible.
We'll go to Sanjay Sujan Thakumar.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, BJ, for doing this. Just wanted to ask you about your thoughts on roster planning the next few months and how to go about calling up some of the Olympic eligible guys. Greg had described it as perhaps tricky because you don't know who's going to get released eventually for the Olympics and how guys will progress with their clubs, especially the European-based guys. But we saw you in the summer give guys like Cade and Jalen more experience, and Benya's on this roster, and there's been chatter about Nobuck recently. So just your thoughts on how to go about trying to integrate some of those younger guys with Olympic camps coming up in October and November, how to balance that with senior camps as well, and the options with that. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. I think for us, even when you see the roster composition here, you see a great sort of cross-section of players, young, veterans, new guys, dual nationals. So for us, it's just to stick to this continued process of providing players opportunities with the men's national team, and supplement that also with specific U23 camps. And across the federation, we're aligned in the way that we want to play and the way that we evaluate talent. So it's not just about the men's national team, but it's much more about U.S. soccer as a whole, and really solidifying our style of play and getting as many of the players and high potential players inside that game model and that style of play. But I think it just continues to be per window, but we definitely have an overarching strategy on how we're going to get as many of those players involved as possible, so that we can field competitive rosters both with the men's national team and as the federation looks forward to a premier event, which is the Olympics as well.
Next will be Joseph Lowry.
Thanks, Michael. BJ, thank you for doing this. Appreciate you taking the time. I wanted to ask you about Ben Cremaschi a little bit, and sort of where you and your staff view him positionally, right? He's played in a couple different roles with Inter Miami, but for where you view him positionally, and what your thoughts are generally on his game and his progression.
Yeah, he's a player that we've tracked for a while. I think he's, in recent form, he's really made a step forward. We're excited to welcome him into camp. specifically, I think we do see him as a center midfield type of profile. He's a player that I think can make an impact in the attacking third of the field, but also has an edge to him that you think that he can compete, in the middle of the field against some of the best in international football. So it's going to be great to have him in, and we're looking forward to it.
Last question for BJ comes from Andrew Jones.
Thank you, Michael and BJ. Glad to always see you again. Wanted to ask you, how was that first conversation linking back with Greg, with how close you two are once he got back officially as the manager? And how was your time off after the Gold Cup with spending family and being able to recharge?
Yeah, thanks for that. The conversations with Greg were really positive. It's about looking forward, and sort of aligning and sharing our vision with each other on how we want to approach this and to make the biggest impact, as we move forward. So, we quickly realized that we have a lot of similar thoughts and ideas, and think together, working with everyone here, we can push the program forward. In terms of it was a great opportunity to reconnect with the family, spend a couple weeks, recharge, and now really focused on these 2 games here in the September camp. There's great excitement around the team, and we know that we're going to be challenged by 2 strong opponents that'll challenge us in 2 different ways. So excited to compete and learn and continue to refine.